Hello, Spiritual Center Spokane. This is Reverend Bonnie, and I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. Oh, let me turn on my light. There we go. All right. All right. There we go. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. Every Tuesday, I just count down the hours until I get to go live with you or until a post comes up because it brings me so much joy to be in the same energy field as you. So thank you so much for being here. And if this is your first time, welcome. So this was a beautiful week in Spokane this week. I have an above ground veggie garden that just has grown in the last week by inches. So uh, I've got lettuce that was probably 3 inches and now it's 8, 9 inches tall. The romaine is almost done. My tomatoes are happy. They're not yet popped, but they are in good stead. And the sun is out and it is beautiful. So, yay to Spokane. And this last week, all over the country, our communities came out to say no to a king, and it was the largest protest in America's history. And so there's a feeling in the air, to me at least, of optimism and of engagement. And that feels spectacular. And then this last week, I went to the beach. I went down to the Washington coast to the beach, and I walked and I walked and I walked every day, 3 times a day. And whenever I'm on the beach and I take big long walks, it's my time with spirit. It's my time to retreat, to decompress, to have deep conversations with my inner self and with the divine presence all around me. And magic happens. So this last week for me was spectacular. And then after the time at the beach, I went and visited friends and family in Seattle for the weekend, and that was equally great. And I came home very, very satisfied. So tonight I want to talk about curiosity. And I want to talk about curiosity as one of the ways that spirit speaks to us and speaks through us. So I've been working on a book about how spirit communicates with us. And one of the chapters is on curiosity, and I'm still in process writing it. And what I noticed with friends, with clients, with congregations that I've served is that when curiosity is present, people open and they're pulled forward and they shift. And so I see curiosity as like God's natural way of unfolding and developing us into our next. And each one of us has a different interest where our curiosity lies. And we then tend to group with others who have a like curiosity if it becomes like a hobby or a skill. If something is developed out of it, then we meet a whole new community. So there's expansion upon expansion upon expansion when we follow our curiosity. And it feels like an inner tug or pull. And it's like being hungry. It's like you can't seem to get enough of something. And so I wrote about it in my blog this week, and I shared that I have a friend who's really into mahjong, and it's all new, and she can hardly wait to learn more about it, to play the game, to enter into communities, to watch videos. It's like there's a compulsion inside for this game. Now, what we never know, but we get to observe is what's going to happen with following that pull. Will my friend meet her sweetheart? Will she meet a business partner? Will she get a best friend out of the deal? Will she learn about another culture? Will she travel somewhere? Will she do it online and then meet people globally? It's like these breadcrumbs of God bring us to places that we can never imagine. I have another friend right now who's very, very, very curious about manifestation. And she is reading books, watching videos online, and she sent me a printout of a PDF earlier this week to say, this is the latest thing I'm learning, and it's really cool. And so I got to witness and participate in that. Now, for me, I have tracked my curiosities through my spiritual unfolding, and it's lovely to see what grabs me. And it like pulls me deeply, and I can't seem to shake it. And so the most recent one happened about a month ago, and I'm still living it out. And I watched a a program that Oprah did on YouTube about near death experiences. And Jeremy Renner, who is an actor, a really great actor, had a near death experience when he was pinned under a um, like a utility truck of some sort. Can't remember what kind it was, if it was a tractor or what, or a snowplow or what, but he was pinned under it and died and then returned. And when he speaks of his experience, he speaks of it from such a beautiful place because he speaks of it as leaving the old and returning to the new. And I see a little chat note here from Lily. Hey, Lily, shout out to you, beautiful one. Good to see you. And so Jeremy Renner's experience with his near death moment was he died and came back, and he said, the only thing you take with you when you die is love. And when he said that, he was crying, like it was still so fresh for him and tender and beautiful. And he said, the only thing you take with you is love. And my heart just flew wide open when he said that. And I can't stop thinking about it. I think about it all the time. I think about, am I investing in love? Am I acting from love? Am I showing up as love? Am I seeing love that's all around us? And Maya Angelou said, she had a poem that said something as beautiful as like, I think the stars that are held by the sky is evidence of love. It may be love. And she has just this beautiful poem. I should have pulled it out for us tonight and didn't. But the idea being that love is absolutely everywhere present. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my awareness of that this week because it has been occupying my being for the last month. So, as I mentioned, I went to the beach this last week. And as I walked on the beach, it was so interesting. I did the barefoot thing, and I was the only person there. And I have to say, it was cold. It was in the 50s. The sand was very, very cold. The ocean was cold. And I had thought when I went down that I would spend some portion of each day actually laying in the waves and getting really cold so that my body could fight it and become warm from the inside out. But as soon as I got down for my first walk, I saw the beach was littered with red jellyfish, and they are dangerous. So you could imagine there I am on this beach in the freezing cold, jumping over red jellyfish and feeling my feet going into the ground. And as I'm doing this, I'm so aware that the jellyfish are God and the sand is God and my feet touching the earth is God, and that all of this is love, that I was acting from love and in love, and it was surrounding me in so many vastly different forms. And I just felt so held and buoyed and loved as I was walking through the beach. And then I managed to have some back and side pain during this time I was at the beach, and I ended up going to the hospital on my last full day at the beach. And while I was there, there was the nurse who came in, and it was like an angel was in front of me. It was pure love, a woman of service, a woman of uh, an educated woman that existed there for me at that moment in order to show up and tend to me. And so it was this just otherworldly, this worldly experience of love. And then the doctor came in, and same thing, he was showing up to be of service. And it's one of those things that when you step back far enough and you're able to look at life as though what a lot of mystics say is that it's a movie or it's a play in which we're acting in it, that there was this awareness of, oh, I'm acting as patient now and showing up as love for the nurse and the doctor in front of me. And they're showing up as a nurse and doctor doing their thing so that there can be more ease in my life. And that was also just this huge demonstration of love. It was as though I couldn't leave its field. It was all pervasive and really amazing. And then I drove to Olympia for a Zoom call at a friend's house who opened her doors so that I could do a Zoom call there. And afterward, we had lunch together. And I thought, look at how incredibly supported I am. I needed a place for a Zoom call, and voila, there is somebody who says yes and welcomes me into their precious home, where I get to have this Zoom call with my minister colleagues that is very powerful, and experience that, and then go have a meal and break bread with my friend. And then I made my way up to Seattle, where I did dinner with two additional friends. And these are friends, it's a husband and wife team. And I was friends first with the husband and then with the wife. And now we're equally yoked as friends. And we sat at the table and for hours talked about who we're becoming, what is emerging within us, what we're learning about ourselves, and what we're learning about life. And it was such a rich, rich conversation that I just, it I don't wanna say I couldn't take in the love because it was overwhelming, because I could, but it just was so obvious to me that I have been stewing in this question because my awareness was so heightened about this love that was right in front of me. And then my friend bought dinner and said, and I thanked him, and he said, "Oh, are you kidding me? Of course I am buying dinner for my dear friend. This is one of the many ways that I get to show I care." And it was just like, "Oh, can my heart get bigger and bigger, Grinch?" I mean, like, it just was really quite lovely. So then the next morning, I went over to a friend's house whose husband died unexpectedly, and I've known her since I was a very young girl. And as I sat in her home, the door opened. I can't even tell you how many times, with just a parade of people coming by to say that they love her and to bring food and to bring flowers and to bring cards and to bring gifts and to bring hugs. And it was just so evident that the home was filled up with love. And at one point when I was eating with her and her children, the table that we ate at, it felt like there was a web between all of us, or we were all cocooned. But there was a feeling tone, an energetic feeling tone of connection that was so palpable that I kept replaying it back in my mind all day. Like, this is what love looks like. This is how love shows up. This is that love that Jeremy speaks about that goes with us when we die. And after that, I went to my nephew's engagement party. Shout out, congratulations. And the same thing existed there. The 2 families had known each other for years, and so they were celebrating the coming together of these 2 beautiful souls who deeply love and care for each other. And it was like doing the breaststroke of love all throughout the party, that there was a connection, a curiosity, appreciation for the people that were there. And what was fun is, since my nephew is a generation younger than me, there were a lot of young families. I probably saw 20 children under 3 years old. And so there was this feeling of bonded community that, again, was a reminder that when we die, what we take with us is love. Then the following day on Sunday, I had breakfast with my best friend since I was 5 years old, who's my daughter's godmother. And whenever we get together, we start talking there as though we always were talking, like there wasn't a place where we left off. And it feels so good to be in that love groove, in that sangha, in that spiritual community. It's spectacular. And then after that, I went and visited another childhood friend of mine who is due to have an operation. And so she was laid up on the couch, and I got to just sit and be with her. And the 2 of us loved it so much that we text each other for 24 hours to say how great it was to be in each other's presence and to acknowledge how much love exists between us. So there is this web of love, this integrated love, this field that we live in, and the key is to see it. I am so aware that when I was younger and less spiritually mature, I would have gone through all that activity and never seen any of it. I am so aware of it. But I'm also aware that spirit has pulled my inner strings and said, pay attention to this. This is where you're going to be curious. And so, what does that mean? Am I being prepared for my beloved? Maybe. Does it mean that the Spiritual Center Spokane will be occupying that energy? In fact, I know it already exists, even though I don't see you in person. And I'm not sure what all of that means, and I don't have to know. That's the beautiful part about curiosity being embedded within us, is that we don't know where it will lead or what will happen with it. So, I took my 2 youngest grandchildren swimming today, and my youngest granddaughter dove for the first time. She's 8. She dove for the first time. And I also had those euphoric moments of, this is love. I mean, to watch skill and talent and fun and play and expansion happen in front of me was just so beautifully spectacular. So, one of the questions that I have for you, and if you have a pad of paper and a pen with you, you may want to write this down. But one of the questions is, do you have the capacity right now to conjure up or to access divine love? Do you right now have the capacity to conjure up or access divine love? Does that e does that ability exist within you now? Can you see love and can you feel it at will? So can you, in a moment's shift from whatever your mind is doing to the beingness place of divine love? And how about your internal self-talk? What does your internal self-talk say? Does it speak highly of yourself or does it degrade yourself? So, my dear friend Rhonda, who I've talked about a lot, when she was becoming sober many, many decades ago, she thought to herself, what can I do to appreciate every single day that I remain sober? And she thought about when she was a child and she did her chores or did something good, that the family calendar, they'd put a star on it to recognize that. So she went out and bought a calendar and sticky stars, and for every day she remained sober, she put a star on it. And that later developed into a practice of her acknowledging herself every single day for at least 3 things she did that were moving her in a direction of expansion. And so she wrote a book, oh, maybe 30 years ago now called Fearless Living. It was a bestseller, just an amazing piece of work. And in it, she had a groundbreaking exercise, which isn't as groundbreaking now, but in it, she asked that people write every single day 3 acknowledgments of themselves and 3 gratitudes. And the reason that she did that, like I said, it came out of her star experience. But the reason that she does that or did that or continues to do it to this day is because then you're not seeking other people to tell you you're okay. You yourself have built up with your in your own being the acknowledgement that you are enough, that you are loved, that internally all is well. And it is a building process. It isn't something that happens overnight. And I can certainly tell you, even a couple years ago, I wouldn't have had the capacity to see the love I'm swimming in now. I do think it's from the curiosity that came from that Jeremy Remmer sentence that when we die, all we take with us is love. And so then for me, it was like, well, let me see this love everywhere I go. Let me check it out. And so I think that was the seed of the excitement and the seed of the movement there, which is fantastic. So then, what I would like you to do for a homework assignment, if you're willing, is to choose a quality of God. Now, I'm working with love because that's what's been activated within me. But qualities of God are all things we agree are good. And so it's faith, peace, joy, abundance, prosperity, acceptance, newness. Um, so when you think about what are the qualities that all religions, when they're writing about God, speak of, that's what you are capturing. So choose a quality of God that you want to focus on this summer. This week is the beginning of summer. Friday, summer starts. So, for the 3 months of summer, what is it that you want to cultivate so that by the end of summer, you have more of a relatedness with it? And then this is what you do, and this is what I do is that you start looking for it, like I shared in my experiences. Um, Teilhard de Chardin says that you court the presence of God. You know, you take it out on dates, you woo it, you romance it, you beckon it. So, what quality are you beckoning this summer? What are you wanting to experience more of and have one focus, not multiple, because you're really wanting to be able to understand, feel, and know it so well that you can access it and identify its presence. So, what quality of God do you want to explore this summer? And then you have the opportunity to woo it. And that could be writing about it. It could be listening to songs about it. It can be going online to YouTube and doing some video checks on it. It could be reading poetry about it. I mean, it's endless how you can start accessing that part of God that is you and develop it. So that's exciting. That's really, really exciting. So then the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is short and not as deep, but I wanted to bring up, I started watching a new Netflix show and it's called Blind Spot. And it is violent, and I have to say that, I just am not liking violent shows anymore. I used to, tolerate them fairly well, and especially if they were suspenseful, I found them very interesting, but now, I think our world has changed so much that, it isn't art to me any longer, and I just don't engage. But for some reason, I did with this Blind Spot, and in this show, a woman is dropped off in front of the FBI in a duffel bag, and she is covered from head to toe with tattoos, and she has no memory at all. She had her memory erased with some special medicine that erased her memory. But she's covered head to toe with these tats, and each one of the tattoos is a clue to some kind of crime. It's a clue to a crime of corruption. And so her body is a map. And what I have found so interesting and such a good metaphor from this is that since she doesn't have a memory, she doesn't know her name, she doesn't know her capacities, she doesn't know her past in any way, but she can lean into her muscle memory that remembers. And so we see that when she's put in a situation that she needs to fight, that she is an advanced martial artist. And so it's like, well, there's a clue about who she is or was because she has that capacity. She also can use firearms. She handles firearms really, really well. Well, not a lot of people do. Um, and so she can put that together with we still don't know who she is, and I'm on like the 8th episode, but by leaning into her skills when they were required, they were shown to her, and then she showed up for them. Another one is speaking foreign languages. She was able to speak Chinese and one other, I can't remember which one it is, but she is multilingual, and that showed up. And so as a viewer, it's interesting because the corruption cases are unfolding. At the same time, we are learning more about who she was and it's unfolding. But the only way it's unfolding is when she's in a situation that she needs something and leans into her body memory and it knows what to do. Another thing is she can fly a helicopter. That was a fun episode. She gets in a helicopter and gets right behind it and is able to fly. So she knows how to pilot. So the metaphor that I love for this is that you and I are God beings. And within us are all of the qualities of God and all of the capacities of God that have not yet been activated. Some have been, some haven't. But how we can know God is by leaning into it. You and I have muscle memory. We remember in our beingness where we came from, who we are. And when we connect with our soul, we have instructions on what is to unfold. And so I found the blind spot a really beautiful metaphor for the idea of unfolding spirit from within us outward. So, those are my two shares for this week, and we are going to go into meditation together. Thank you all for being here. I am so grateful, and I just love this. So, let's close our eyes and take a nice big deep breath. And as we breathe, let's just feel that breath in our body temples. This is one of those muscle memories, the one that the presence of God, Spirit itself, is our life vitality. It's the life force within us. So as we breathe and stand witness to it, we become aware of this presence. And so now I invite you to think about someone that you love or something that you love, maybe the ocean, maybe the mountains, maybe the sunshine, maybe plants, a thing, either a person or a thing that you love, or it could be an animal. But let's just marinate for a little bit in this feeling tone of love. And now, around each one of us is a field. We see it around saints a lot. It's called an auric field. It's a field that surrounds us that's filled with light. So, with this auric field around us, let's allow ourselves to experience that feeling of love and become aware that it exists not only within us, but surrounding us. And repeat after me: right where I am, love is. I lean into the love of God. I lean into divine love. I can't help it. Everything I see and feel is love. And let's feel our feet on the ground. And let's feel our heart in our chest. And let's drop a smile down in our stomach area. Just imagine yourself smiling inside of the different organs in our midsection. Our stomach smiling, our liver, our pancreas, our colon, our spleen, our lungs, and let's place in our third eye and our mind's eye. Let's place a picture of the American flag and send it love as a symbol of our country. And if you're watching and you're from another country, put your flag in your mind's eye. Just allow yourself to feel the love of your country, which is a set of agreements, which is a place. And let's place our body temple in our third eye. And let's see our body surrounded by divine love. And this is one of the ways I do healing work is I see a person in my third eye and through my hands and with an open heart, I send love. And so I do that now for myself. And let's place in our third eye our gardens, our food, our farms, our canneries, our factories, just food. And let's place in our third eye people that we deeply, deeply love. And let's place in our third eye an individual or individuals that we desire to forgive. And at its core, all forgiveness is self forgiveness because our images live within us. And let's put a picture of nature in our third eye. Let's send our love to the outdoors, to nature, to the beauty, and let's bring our attention back to our feet. And I speak my word of truth right here and right now for each and every one of us on this YouTube, whether we're watching it live or watching it later, that right where we are, the presence of God, the presence of good, the presence of love is. And that as we give it attention, it multiplies. And so I just speak my word of gratitude for this experience of living in body, for this experience of exploring the different dimensions that exist from the physical to the non-physical. I give thanks for all of the love I have in my life, and if anyone listening feels that that is absent from their life, that this week there is an experience or 2 experiences or 3 experiences where love catches your attention. And I give thanks for this thing called Spiritual Center Spokane, for the individuals who were involved in starting this. I send each one of them blessings. For those who continue to tune in, I give incredible gratitude and thanks. And for the goodness and glory of God that continues to unfold in all of our lives, I also give thanks. For those right now who are experiencing brokenheartedness, which happens when we love. For those of us who are experiencing fear, which happens when we grow. I just know that in the midst of that, God is. That God is the healing balm with the heart, that God is the courage to walk through that which is uncomfortable. And so I give thanks for the generosity of God, the power of God, the presence of God, the love of God. And I give thanks for each one of us here tonight. And together let's say, and so it is, Amen. Beautiful, my friends. I love you. I thank you. Have a really delicious, delicious week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Love and blessings.